Hey everybody, today I'm going to be doing an unboxing of the Mekede DUDU7, which is a relatively new Android head unit coming out of China. I hope you find it useful, and thanks for watching.
Hey, Beavis, he said poop.
Yeah, DUDU7. Hey.
So here is the package as I received it for UPS. The shipping on this was kind of funky in that I received a tracking number for it, but didn't actually see any tracking information for it until about 7 days after it was shipped. My guess is that they load a bunch of packages up onto a pallet, ship them over to the US either by boat or plane, and then they break the pallet apart once it arrives here and go and hand it off to the carrier. So shipping was fine. There were no problems with it. It arrived here pretty quickly after ordering, which was about 7 or 8 days.
It's well packaged, very, very heavily taped. It looks like it was opened at some point, maybe from customs or somebody, but like I said, I was not charged any extra tariffs for this. So, inside of the box, we have, first of all, this is the steering wheel control. This is I don't know what this is. We'll just have to open it and find out. This is the big unit right here. So this is the 14.6 inch screen. We got some bubble wrap. This bubble wrap looks like the OBDII harness and the mounting bezel for my Sequoia. So let's see, what do they say? Yep, okay, so this is their Tundra frame, which should fit with the Sequoia just as well. Get this out of its bubble wrapped cocoon here. So this is the bezel. Feels like decently solid plastic. Looks like it was maybe printed or I guess formed, but then had some kind of covering going on it. I would be annoyed about the glossiness of this. It's kind of like a piano black finish. If it weren't for the fact that the head unit itself is so big that you're never actually going to see this because it's going to be covered up by the screen the entire time. Some other stuff here. So this is looks like the OBDII harness that is used to integrate the steering wheel controls and the backup camera and a bunch of other things. It looks like we may have an extra wire here for the backup camera triggering. Hopefully I don't actually need to wire that up, but some head unit harnesses require that. And then we've got an FM antenna harness. This looks like probably camera, video, and a few others, but we'll look at this a bit more in just a little bit. Let's see, is there anything else left in here? Oh yeah, we got another set of harnesses. Doesn't say what this is actually for, but a whole lot of connectors there. So actually this looks like it might be duplicative of the OBDII one, because this is also got an antenna connection and some other stuff, unless maybe one of those is like a GPS connection, or maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure this out. Hopefully I find some kind of instructions somewhere. Okay, so first let's start looking into the steering wheel control. So that, like I said, this is a Bluetooth steering wheel control made by DUDU Auto that works with the DUDU7. It has several buttons on it and allows you to custom map a lot of controls to specific buttons. Nice packaging. I appreciate that it's paper. There's not a ton of plastic in here. And it comes in what seems like a really unnecessary bag, but okay. And then this is the control itself. So you can see it almost looks kind of like a watch mounting mechanism. I'm going to have to figure out how to probably take this back mounting piece off. But basically we've got 4 buttons plus a center button to be able to remap stuff to. Looks like the battery goes right in here. This looks like a battery tray. Nice clicky feel to the buttons, which is good. Feels like it's pretty well constructed. Sort of a brushed metal that actually feels cold. So this is kind of like a brushed metal ring right here, and then a rubberized sort of shell around the outside of it. So this here is an OBDII attachment for Bluetooth that will also communicate with the head unit to provide, for example, engine diagnostics, engine RPM. It'll allow you to read codes off the ECU, that kind of thing. Standard OBDII connector. I imagine it's probably just your typical like Elm 327 chip that they use in a lot of these cheap things. But I figured might as well get it. I think it was only 20 or 30 bucks to add in, and I'll just put an OBD2 splitter underneath my dash so that I can plug this in and then still plug my better code reader in when there are actual problems I need to diagnose. But this should be kind of handy in terms of should be able to interface with the Toyota TPMS data and some other handy things that I can then have up on the head unit. The next thing we'll look at is this guy here. This was the mystery box that I wasn't quite sure which it is. I think maybe this might actually be the brains of the unit, and then the screen is just in that larger box, but we'll see in just a second. So open that up. In here, we've got, oh, this is the camera kit. So this is for the 360-degree camera. And here we have what looks like a breakout cable for the 4 cameras. So you can see here there's kind of a 4-pin connector inside each of these. They're color-coded for right, rear, left, and front. And then for everything except for front, we have these 3 cables here, these red terminated connectors. I'm not sure what those are. Again, hopefully there's documentation that explains what it is. So we'll just put that right here. Then we have these guys, which look like maybe extension cables. They have that same 4-pin connector. A hole saw. Interesting. So I would imagine this hole saw is the same diameter as the camera, sort of the front piece of the camera. Now what's interesting is this bit on the hole saw is for putting a hole in sheet metal. So this is a pilot bit for sheet metal, not for plastic or anything like that. So they're expecting that you're going to be zipping through some sheet metal to mount these things, which is about probably what I'm going to end up doing, although the chuck on this, the bit diameter on this looks like it's pretty small, so less than 1/4 of an inch. So hopefully there aren't any issues with this slipping in a regular drill. In this next box, we've got what looks like more of those 4-pin connectors, and these are probably connected up to actual cameras. Yep. So we have here 4 cameras. It says Sony IMX662, which is, I believe, all 4 of these cameras have the same sensor that uses a fairly decent Sony sensor that's good in low light. So hopefully these cameras end up working out really well. This looks like it's set up for probably a under license plate mount. And then let's take a look if the other ones are similar. No, so they're different. Okay, so this is definitely a side camera. You can see here, very different kind of mushroom shape compared to the standard mounting that you would see for a license plate camera. We've got another one with the same mounting bracket as the other one. So both the front and rear cameras have the same style mounting bracket. So I'll have to figure out how for the front camera this ends up fitting on the grill, pointing in a useful direction. I do not think that this is an adjustable angle. Yeah, so this is a fixed plastic, but there are screws on the back that allow you to disconnect this and put it on a better mount. And then for the other one, I'm assuming this is just the camera on the other side. Yep. So that's it. We've got our 4 360-degree cameras, the wiring harness for it, some extension cables for it, and then some really big extension cables in here. So we've got, these are the ones that, you're running behind your trim panels in your car. This one looks like it's for the front camera, which doesn't have that red wire. And then these are labeled as well. So this is left, rear, and right. So hopefully it's not too complicated to get set up. It looks like they've tried to make it pretty plug and play in terms of how all of these things connect together. There are also some mounting, these look like covers here, which I guess would be fitting over the front and rear camera. So yeah, so these look like cosmetic covers of some kind, or maybe for alternate mounting options. They fit pretty snugly on there. These look like they're sealed up pretty well in terms of moisture, so I wouldn't worry too much about moisture intrusion into these. There is a little bit of a seam right here, but I imagine it's sealed up pretty well, although I might end up having a little bit of fun with some RTV with these things to make sure that they're extra watertight, since, we have a lot of freezing weather here in New England. All right, so I'm going to pack this stuff up, and then we'll get into the real beans of it with the main head unit. Okay, now, time for the main show, our DUDU7 car multimedia system. Again, kind of nice, slick packaging. Not a lot of real sort of cheesy stuff with bad English translations like you see on a lot of products coming out of China sometimes that aren't purpose-built for U.S. markets. But this is a hefty box, so this thing probably weighs, I would say, 4 or 5 pounds. I mean, this is a substantial piece of technology from a weight and from a build quality perspective. I always tend to associate, particularly when you're dealing with these kinds of electronics, with weight equating to quality, both in terms of the quality of the enclosure, but also the quality of the components. They're bigger resistors, bigger capacitors, just better heat sinks, that kind of thing. We get a nice envelope with a DUDU7 sticker on it, and we got instructions. Sweet. So we've got basic wiring diagram. Oh, nice. They label all the pinouts. We have a warranty card for all of those doo-doo pioneers. So if you're pioneering in doo-doo land, that's for you. I will probably never fill out that warranty card, to be honest. Okay. Wow, that's big. Wow, look at the size of this thing. Holy crap. And it's heavy, too. I'm going to be really careful to not drop this here. Let me just get this stuff out of the way for a second so that we can have a clear look at this thing. Put a little foam underneath it just to pad it. So we have this is a big screen to give you some perspective on the size of this thing. I mean, pliers for scale. I mean, this is a big unit. Got a nice protective sleeve on it, which is good. This is going to be a fun, satisfying peel once I get this thing installed. It looks like there might actually be, I don't know if that's an air bubble under this or if it's it's just an air bubble. I thought there was a camera on this thing for a second, which would be kind of crazy. But basically, it feels like a really big, high quality Android tablet, to be honest. It's sort of got that same kind of square bezel. This is about, I don't know, let's see. Let me grab my calibers here. I can tell you exactly how big this thing is. So caliper says that this is, I'll put it in freedom units instead of millimeters. Says this thing is just a hair over a half an inch. So just a little bit more than a half an inch thick. And obviously from a just overall dimensions perspective, this thing is freaking massive. So on the back side, cooling fan, 4G antenna, GPS antenna. This is just, I think, a mounting stud to fit in somewhere, because this doesn't, oh, no, this comes off. Let's see, what is this thing? Maybe I should look at the wiring diagram and see. We've got a USB-C plug. We've got coax audio, optical audio, and a mic plug, which will probably be for the hands-free calling microphone. This is going to be a challenge because on Toyotas, they use a powered condenser microphone, which isn't compatible with this kind of plug. So I'm actually going to have to go up into the sunroof control panel up above, pull that out, remove the old microphone, and then wire in a good microphone that doesn't require an auxiliary power source. We've got a 15 amp mini fuse here, and then several connectors, and then our FM antenna connector. If I pull up the mounting bracket here, trying to figure out how the heck this thing actually mounts in, this will be an interesting thing to figure out, because it is not entirely clear to me how we go from a flat panel like this guy to completely mounted into the dash. But that'll be for another video. And for those of you who are curious about the size compared to other head units, so this is, again, what the DUDU7 looks like. And then if I go over, grab this Kenwood unit, you can see from a screen size perspective, the screen is really much smaller. But from an overall unit size, I mean, this thing is downright chonky compared to the DUDU unit. And that's kind of what I was getting at with these things. Sure, a lot of the hardware in here is audio hardware, but also a lot of the hardware in here is just janky ass old technology that happens to take up more space. So this is why I'm really excited about this unit. My plan is to first do some sound deadening and sound insulation in my car before I put this in. So there may be a little bit of a delay before you see videos of me starting the process of getting this installed. But please like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions. I'll try to respond to comments as best as I can. And hopefully there will be some additional videos on this project coming out soon. So thanks for watching.